Legion M is the world's first fan-owned entertainment company.
What we're doing with Legion M has never been possible before.
We think that an entertainment company owned by fans is better than one owned by Wall Street.
And so we're funding films and TV shows and VR projects collectively as a community. And when we're successful, sharing the reward. You know, being a part of Legion M, whether you invest or not, is being a part of a community that is making a difference in the entertainment industry, supporting and representing original, breakthrough content.
Our first project was Colossal, which was an Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis movie.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Our second project was Mandy, which is a Nicolas Cage movie.
So my whole thing was just about how can I service this vision.
Then we did Bad Samaritan with David Tennant and Dean Devlin.
Dean is known for Stargate and Independence Day, and he hasn't done films like this.
Legion is going to change Hollywood.
Did you get that tingle? You know you're watching something that's going to change the course of history.
You don't just own stock in the company, you own a piece of every movie we invest in.
The good folks at Legion M were dumb enough to invest in Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
We're amazing. Legion M is amazing. Come to Sundance. Check it out for yourself. You will be so happy that you did.
With the Legion M Film Scout app, you literally become a film scout and help us decide which movies we acquire.
Hey, Legion M Film Scouts. This is Alexander Philippe, the director of Memory, The Origins of Alien, and I want to personally thank you for actually picking our film, Memory, The Origins of Alien, at Sundance.
Producing a comic book, we were able to do it with an all-female artist team, which we were very proud of. But also, we were able to open up the development process by offering the comic book on Kickstarter for pre-sales. Anybody who participated in the campaign not only got a copy of the book, but they also got an invitation to a development meeting with the director and the producer and myself to talk about what our plans were for the feature film.
What's so exciting about being a part of a film like Archenemy is that our investors got to be a part of it from day one. They were on set, they appeared in scenes, and one of our investors, his car is the hero car in the film. This just doesn't happen in Hollywood.
One of the best things about Legion M is just the inclusion, the opportunity to be involved if you want to be.
I love Legion M because it's the best idea I've heard of in a very long time for the future of entertainment. And also,
Fellowship.
It allows more access to Hollywood.
Keep doing what Stan wanted us to do, to keep inspiring people, to keep telling people his story, and to keep supporting those characters, because those characters are the characters that make us who we are.
Legion M is an amazing company. It's owned 100% by the fans.
We see fans as having immeasurable power.
What it is that you guys do that's so special is you connect with fans. And that's meaningful for filmmakers and for films to be able to find an audience.
Our goal is 1 million fans unite to take over Hollywood.
If we're able to achieve that, that would give us literally hundreds of millions of dollars to produce movies and television shows that have 1 million fans standing behind them.
That's not a small company in Hollywood. That is one of the most influential companies on the planet.
And it's an amazingly fun process to open the gates of Hollywood and allow people to come in. And if you believe in the power of fans and a fan-owned company, we want you to come join the Legion.
That's why I like these Legion M cats.
I am Legion M.
I am Legion M.
Join the Legion.
Join the Legion.
Join the Legion.
Join the Legion.
Welcome, everybody. It's FanGirl Friday. My name's Anita Castellar, and this is FanGirl Friday Live. Thanks for tuning in each and every week as we unpack the business behind the fandom. My name's Anita, and I'm here, your host, and I also have my good friend, Mandy. How are you?
Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I'm doing fantastic, and it is a great Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to end the week and kind of skip into the weekend where we share a little bit of knowledge, we have some laughs, and, we get to share some time with our friends, which we probably haven't seen in a long time in this COVID world, huh?
Absolutely. And what else better to do on a Friday than to fangirl out? I can't imagine a better way to spend it.
Exactly. So, Mandy, tell us who you are and tell us where you're from.
Well, my name is Mandy Bardisbanian. I am the VP of licensing of Legion M Entertainment, and I live in Los Angeles, California. And I'm a super fangirl. That's my entire identity.
Oh, well, let's get into the fangirl piece, and then we can get into what exactly is Legion M. Even though we had a little video explains a little bit about it, but I would love to hear more about it. But let's hear about your journey in fandom, but also in the business, like the business side of fandom. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I grew up as a huge Potterhead. Harry Potter is my love, life, and everything. When I was, I want to say 12, 11 years old, something like that, I started reading Harry Potter after the second book came out. And I started attending, of course, all of the midnight release parties and all of that, and really starting to understand what fandom really was, because I grew up on a horse ranch. So I was a rodeo queen at one point. I was a major country girl, and I really wasn't exposed to fandom at all. We barely ever watched TV. And when I started reading Harry Potter, I understood what it was to transport into a different world, right?
Yeah.
And that's really how my fandom started. Actually, this is a full Harry Potter tattoo that that is one of the loves of my life. So when as I was growing up, I was deciding, am I going to be a horse trainer? Because that's what everyone kind of expected me to do, or a vet. But I started working at a fashion boutique when I was 16. And it kind of spurred my love for fashion and my love for making people feel good with product, because you could see, the light on people's faces whenever they would try on a piece of clothing and feel really good and confident about who they were. And I wanted to give that to people, right? And then as I kept growing up, Hot Topic was my mothership, if you will. My mom didn't love that because
there was also a time where Hot Topic was scary, where it was like, do we want to go in there? Not in a bad way. Love you, Hot Topic, but it was a little bit, edgy.
It absolutely was. We would go to the mall and I would say, Mom, can we just go into Hot Topic for like 1 minute? And she would cross her arms and fold them up and just stand outside and huff while I went in there and kind of looked around and, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'd see all the Harry Potter stuff and, all of that. And then fast forward, and I'll back up again, but fast forward, however long later, and I started working at the Hot Topic corporate office. My parents immediately bought stock in the company. So, things change. But anyway, so backing up, I ended up deciding that fashion was where I wanted to go in my career. So I went to a fashion school in San Antonio, Texas, because that's kind of what we could afford. Literally the week after I graduated from college, I moved to Los Angeles with nothing. I had like $600 in my pocket. And I knew I wanted to work for Hot Topic. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work for Hot Topic. So this is another story for another time because it's very long, but long story short, I forced my way into that office and I got a job as the receptionist of the Hot Topic corporate office. And I moved up from there.
That's great.
That's kind of where my career headed.
That's great. No, that's awesome. And obviously you didn't stay at Hot Topic, so you moved along and now you're at Legion M. So tell us, what is Legion M? What is that about?
Legion M is such a unique company. We are a studio like anybody else. We make movies, TV shows, comic books, other projects that we're looking into, but we are owned by fans. So literally, fans own equity stock in our company. So about 5 years ago, there was a groundbreaking new securities law that allows anyone to invest in a company, which means that, of course, it's highly regulated, all that good stuff. And we always tell people, Legion M is not the place for your retirement. Don't put your savings into Legion M, but, we could be something, right? Like together.
It could build your retirement.
Absolutely. If we're successful, then we all could really win in a huge way. So how it works is anyone can invest in Legion M. It's $100 minimum. We are currently on round 7 of our investments. And we have about 25,000 fan investors as of right now. But you can also join Legion M for free. So you can join Legion M for free as a member. And we have over 150,000 people in our community. and you get to have a voice in what we do and the movies that we make and the way that we make them. And you can be involved in the process. And that is the most beautiful thing. We believe that a company owned by fans is just stronger and more powerful than a company owned by Wall Street. And that's what we are here to do. That is our mission. And so far, it's working.
Wow. Who had that idea? That's incredible.
Our incredible founders, Jeff and Paul, are the co-founders of Legion M. This is their third startup together. They had a startup a while back called Moby TV, which still exists. And they were one of the pioneers of putting TV on cell phones.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so they're very much in the Silicon Valley tech world. And they this is now their third startup, and it's just brilliant, and they're so dedicated to the fans, and what's great about them is they're not just talk, right? They're actually action. And as leaders, it makes me really proud, and I can speak for the rest of the team, very proud to work for two pioneers that really they walk the walk, right?
Right.
That's what's so good.
Yeah, you don't often find honesty and authenticity in Hollywood. Unfortunately, It has a bad reputation, which is, I think they're trying to correct that, of course, but things take time. So it's not always been something that you've been able to find, prevalent in the Hollywood business. But that's so great that, it's democratizing, the ability to create these movies. And in the toy industry, sometimes if you don't get a big retailer to purchase a toy item, it could be the most innovative toy ever and it'll just die, and it kind of sounds like similarly, that's my metaphor and what I do, but in what you guys are doing, creating entertainment, it sounds like that too. Like if you don't have in the past, if you didn't have a huge studio pick it up, then the most innovative projects could just fall away.
Absolutely. So for an example, so one of the ways that our community helps us to choose the projects that we go after is we have a platform called Film Scout, and we kind of call it a game. It's actually an app on your phone that we developed. And what happens is at Sundance Film Festival, and we will hopefully be taking this to other festivals in the future. We started out with Sundance Film Festival. And what we do is we put all the movies that are going to be at Sundance on this platform. And we put, who's involved in the project and the synopsis of the film. And if you are at Sundance, then you check that you are actually at Sundance and you are physically seeing these movies, and then you rate everything, right? You review, you rate all of that. And then if you're not at Sundance, you can still very much participate by saying, here are the ones that sound the most interesting to me, right? So 2 years ago at Sundance, there was a film called Memory, the Origins of Alien, and it's a documentary about the origins of Alien. Oh, look at that.
I'm a huge Alien buff. Yeah,
absolutely.
Love it.
So incredible documentary. The director, Alexander Philippe, is just a genius when it comes to documentaries. So that was very highly rated on Film Scout. So we prioritized it. We said, we have to go see this movie. It's very highly rated. We need to focus, right? So it helps. There's so many films at Sundance. So you really also need to be able to focus your time. And our team is small, so we can only see so many movies while we're there. And it turned out it was a great movie, and we bought the rights. So we were involved in actually releasing that movie, and it did incredibly well. Wow. So that's the kind of thing that's great. This past year in 2020, it was the last thing we all got to do before lockdown. It was go to Sundance, and there was a film called Save Yourselves, Save Yourselves, an exclamation point, that was winning on Film Scout. And we went to go see it. We had a blast watching this movie. I mean, everyone was just cracking up laughing in the theater. And we said, we have to be involved in this film. So we partnered with Bleecker Street Media and helped release that movie in October of last year.
Wow, that's incredible. That's like, being able to choose the next Oscar film, right? I mean, I guess it feels that way, right? When you pick something and you place your bets on it, and then it's like off and running and it becomes really successful. So
absolutely.
I know that your job is consumer products, but I'm interested to see also the rewards, right? So if someone's investing, so how do they then reward them, or you reward them for participating and for investing?
Great question. So, of course, being pre-IPO, there are no dividends. There are no, there's no like things that you can't just sell your shares, randomly. You can, but you have to do it, privately, so that it's legal in the current state of things. So it works a little bit differently. It is a long-term investment. When you invest in Legion M, you're really there for the experience. And then we're very upfront and honest about that. It's much more about the experience right now. We might fail. Who knows, right? But as of right now, everything is going really great.
Well, you can fail in the stock market too. I mean,
Absolutely. So what it's like to be a member investor of Legion M is it's highly engaging. And we have several different ways to for our members to speak to us and converse with us. One of the main ways is on our Facebook. We have a Facebook for members only. And that's where, members not only get to talk to each other, and they can post about an idea that they have, if they have an idea for a script or a franchise they might want us to get involved in, or casting, for example, or sometimes if I am designing something and I'm like, should I do this necklace in gold or silver? Then I can just put it up there and they tell me exactly what they want, and then I can give them exactly what they want. Which makes my job not only super fun, but also a little bit easier for those moments. And, so then also we are able to do some really fun, unique things. So normally, an average person wouldn't be able to go visit the set of a movie in the making, but with Legion M, we are able to give that kind of opportunity. So, we have set visits. One of our investors actually in our latest film, Archenemy, Archenemy needed a car. They needed a vintage car, a very specific kind of car. And one of our investors actually had that car.
Wow,
and
that's cool.
So not only was his car featured as the actual featured car in the movie, but he was actually in the movie as well. So, there's just very, very unique things that we're able to do with our investors, that to involve them in the process overall. And it makes
But the physical
really
payout, the monetary payout, which is, I'm sure why everyone is also investing, besides the passion. I mean, don't get me wrong, they probably love to be able to curate the storytelling. But, in the end, it is a business, and I'm sure they're thinking about, the return, but that comes later then, as you're saying. It's a cash out or something that comes later.
We're still a startup, right? Our 5th anniversary is coming up next month, but we are still very much a startup. We're still a small company, trying to make it in a very big industry. So it is definitely is a long-term investment. And that is why we say, do not put your retirement savings into Legion M, but if you want to have some fun, come join us.
And you never know, it could turn into a retirement savings. So
it could, it absolutely could. You never know. We're working our way towards that.
So some of the projects you guys have been involved in, one was the origin story for the alien. And then what were some of the other ones that you guys have worked on in the past again?
Well, what's absolutely mind-blowing to me is our very, very, very first project. This was before my time at Legion M. Their very first movie was an Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis movie called Colossal. And in my opinion, an extremely underrated movie. I honestly had not even really heard about it until I joined Legion M. And it is a fantastic movie. Everyone should go watch it because it is actually that good. Basically, they have they're monsters in this movie. It's really cool. And Anne Hathaway is brilliant in it, like she always is. But that was their very first movie, which is insane. How do you even do that? And then the second movie was Bad Samaritan. With David Tennant, also a fantastic movie. David Tennant is again brilliant as always, Mr. Doctor Who, and then they did a film called Field Guide to Evil, and then one of our largest movies and my personal favorite so far is called Mandy, which I know is extremely confusing because I share its name.
Yeah,
I tried to. We try to make it a little bit easier via email, and I just put Mandy the movie in all caps whenever I'm talking about it. We know it's the movie and not me. Yeah. But that is a Nicolas Cage movie that is very trippy. It is like a sci-fi horror type kind of journey. It's pretty gory. So if you're into that, please go watch it. It is incredible. And the fandom for that movie keeps growing every single year.
Oh, wow.
It is shocking. I've actually, dedicated my life to this business, and I've never seen a cult film that continues to grow in fandom every single year. It is absolutely brilliant.
I think we're showing
Also,
some of the merchandise because now you've been able to actually license some of that. I mean, based off the fandom is growing.
Yes, it is so much fun. It's a very fun property to play with. And I'll get more into that as well later, but it's a really fun project to play with. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now because I'm very excited. We just closed our likeness rights deal with Nicolas Cage just like about 2 months ago. And that was a long road. It took about a little over a year and a half of negotiation and discussion and building trust with Nicolas Cage's team to get him to agree, because he does not give his likeness rights lightly.
Yeah.
At all. So that
for
was
those folks following along, if you don't know, licensing rights can take quite some time to negotiate, not just for a comic book character or any other type of character onto, a logo, even onto a t-shirt. Likeness rights, meaning the usage of a person's physical likeness, can take even longer, can take quite some time. And that's pretty standard in negotiating. So year to year and a half, that's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, and I think in Nick's case, he understood the fandom of this film, and he understood how passionate these fans are, and he really, I think that's why he ended up agreeing, because he wanted to give back to these fans who are constantly raving about this film that they love. It's very artsy. It is super artsy. The
Is it like a
Panos,
Quentin Tarantino level artsy with gore?
I'd say even a little further, actually.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
pretty,
level.
I mean, we're talking, putting a cigarette out on a skull that Nicolas Cage just killed. Like it's pretty, it's pretty intense.
There you go, folks. Don't watch with your kids.
Don't watch. It is not for kids. Please do not watch it with your kids. But it is a wonderful movie, and the director Panos Cosmatos is also a very, very brilliant visionary who has been a joy to work with. So it's so interesting now being on this side of things, because I previously with Hot Topic I was on the retailer side of things, and of course you mostly work with licensors, the studios, and licensees. The vendors you buy product from. And now being on the licensor side of things, it is so fun, because of course I still love that side too, but this side I get to actually work directly with the talent and with the visionaries of these projects that they brought to life from their own heads. It's incredible to be able to get that inside track and see, peek behind the curtain, right?
So what products have come up that you didn't think about if this is something that happened that you weren't expecting because you were actually working directly with the talent and with the creation team? Sometimes you're thinking, I'm going to, license these types of products, but then when you're talking to the talent, something completely, takes a left turn.
Yeah, that actually happens more often than you would think. One thing I can, off the top of my head, is fan art. Fan art is a fine line in our industry, as I'm sure you know, because you want to do justice to that artist, right? You never, ever, ever want to copy. You never want to be seen as if you are taking someone's art and monetizing it.
Right.
However, so it is a fine line you have to ride, but the trick is of course, make sure that you are servicing that artist, right? Make sure you're giving that artist credit. Make sure they created it, then give them the credit that they are due. And whether that means for compensation, whether that means monetarily, whether that means something else that they request, make sure you give them what they deserve. So fan art is a big one, because Panos Cosmatos, the director of Mandy, loves fan art, and there is some incredible fan art from these specific fans. And so we've been able to do quite a bit of that. So sometimes Panos will send me, a piece of art that he saw on the internet, and he's like, please go after this. And then,
oh, wow,
go get it.
So you then take that on, and you reach out to the artist, the fan art, who did the derivative art, not the original. And then, you you then do what with that?
So, it's kind of fun because I have to find ways to contact them, right? Like sometimes I try multiple different platforms. I'll try and reach out to them on Instagram, or I'll go to their DeviantArt page, which, by the way, I never even knew still existed. But DeviantArt is still a thing.
Still out there.
Yeah. So like from the MySpace days. So anyway, so I'll try and reach out to them, through that or Facebook, or I'll try just various ways to try and contact them. And then I discuss with them. I say, look, the director of Mandy loves this art. He saw it himself. He requested it. What would it take? Here's what I can offer you. And then we kind of go back and forth and make a decision on what's best for both of us. Right. And then we sign a licensing agreement based off of those parameters, and we go from there.
That's great. And then you can use it on merchandise or promotional, pieces or what have you, if that's what you decide.
Absolutely. And if, the other not hard part, but just thing you have to consider is, of course, if you're going to take that art and alter it in any way, I still allow the artist to chime in on the ways that I'm altering it. Like if I'm adding to it or, whatever it might be, then, I still very much allow them to, because they created it.
It could change the tone of the whole thing, and then that wasn't my intention of my creation. So
yeah, absolutely. And then just one other thing that I thought of as far as working with artists directly is other licensees that I may not have thought of. So for example, there are some really incredible small mom and pop type e-com stores for horror apparel.
Oh yeah,
specifically. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of them, and they are so good. Like their art is just so unique and so different, because I don't think they're not jaded by the licensing industry or the retail industry. So they create these really unique pieces of art and graphics, and that's been really neat. So for example, Elijah Wood, who is a name drop, who is a producer for Spectre Vision, which is the partner on Mandy. He has requested a few different companies for us to possibly work with Mandy, and we've been able to. And I may never have seen them before, or have had the chance.
Do you want to give them a shout out?
Like,
which companies would those be?
Some of our new licensees are Fright Rags is coming up. They are a really, really great horror apparel company. Fright Rags and Terror Threads is also another one that is lovely. They're both very unique in their own right. And I believe one of them is actually launching their collection in a couple weeks. I forgot which one, but please go to our Facebook and you'll be able to see it whenever it launches.
I'm sure there'll be an announcement once it's official, out to the world. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And there's a couple others that are upcoming that I can't talk about yet.
Oh, those will be fun. So, so take us through that journey though of fan art to product, and then where do you sell the product, right? Because you're not, I'm not sure yet, but maybe you would be in negotiations with actual physical retailers, but tell us how you're selling your product and getting it straight to the fans.
Great question. So what's really fun about Legion M, and because we are, still a startup, because we are still very, we get to pivot in lots of different ways. I get to play in all three facets of the licensing industry. So for anyone who doesn't know, the three main facets of the merchandising industry is direct to consumer, which could be either your e-com site, or if you go to a convention, you're selling whatever platform you are selling directly from you to the fan. And then wholesale, which is where you manufacture the product and then you sell it to another retailer to sell to their fans, or licensing, which can either be to a licensee, which is kind of like a vendor or someone who would then sell to another retailer.
Like a manufacturer who would sell it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or you can go direct to retail, which, for example, Hot Topic is one of our direct to retail licensees. They have a print on demand direct to retail license for Mandy. So they also carry product. So because of that, we definitely have a lot of different ways that we are able to bring product to market. With our e-commerce site, we have grown it rapidly in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And it is on that platform, we try to give fans something a little bit different than you would normally get at another retailer. So for example, we sell signed scripts or props from the movies, things that you might not be able to get elsewhere. Props from movies is probably my favorite because, you know, I mean, how often do you get to do that? And then, you know, because I have that direct line to the fans, I'm also able to test things, right? So I can put out, you know, 5 t-shirts of things that I think might work. And then that allows me to then go to the retailer or the licensee partner and say, okay, here is what I found out. You know, the fans are much more gravitating towards this character or towards this style of art, whatever it might be. And that actually gives, I love that I'm able to provide that leg up, if you will, to our partners. Because that's always very helpful. And so that's one way, direct to consumer. I love going to fan conventions. Prior to the pandemic, we really started building out our convention schedule and plan. And of course, we will get back into that once we can all be together again. But that is so much fun. And then through our e-commerce
I miss
site,
those.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I miss panels, which is crazy. But I miss sitting in Hall H. So direct to consumer with e-com is super fun. I get to test things. It's great. And then wholesale is something that I wasn't planning on being a large part of our business, but it actually is rapidly growing because we have some really unique products that retailers want. So wholesale is something that we've gotten into pretty heavily. And then licensing, though, is my main focus right now, especially for Mandy, because right now that property is very, very hot, especially since we just got the Nicolas Cage's likeness rights. Since we are one of the only people that has Nicolas Cage's likeness rights, most of what you're going to find out there on the internet, especially all of that stuff with like Nick's face on a pickle and like all of that stuff is all bootleg. So, you know, please, you know, go for it if you want to buy it, but at the same time, know that the artist is getting nothing for that.
Yeah, it's also buyer beware.
Exactly. And so, you know, having his likeness rights, especially, I mean, after the Netflix show, The History of Cursing. He was so good in that. I mean, the first episode, he just screams profanities. It's hilarious. That's awesome. So, you know, he's very much in pop culture right now, and that property is very hot. And I'm building out my license.
Probably replace Chuck Norris, right, as like the pop culture go-to guy. You know, everybody thinks Chuck Norris. You know, Chuck Norris is, you know, of a generation, my generation, but the next one is probably Nicolas Cage.
Absolutely. You know, and Chuck Norris was, that was a brilliant license. I don't know if you ever were involved in anything with that license, but that was hot in our industry for a minute.
Yeah.
So
a bunch of memes out there.
Yes, absolutely. So licensing, you know, how I'm kind of going about this property is very special to the fans. And we want to make sure that it remains special to the fans and that we don't oversaturate it, right? So there's definitely a fine line of going wide with a license.
Right.
Because again, you want to keep it special, you want to keep it unique. And you know, once you go wide, you also might you don't want to have too much competition for your partners because you want to make sure that it's fair. You want to make sure that you give all of your partners a fair chance to succeed, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So, you know, I try to space them out. I try to space out the launches, or you know, give them their own specific time frames of like.
So let's explore that. Just you're saying competition, right? And so, to just kind of explain it further, basically, by you having your own e-commerce site, Legion M is selling directly to the fans, and they're selling a Nicolas Cage, you know, hoodie. Let's say as an example, right? Based off of the Mandy, you know, movie, but you're also licensing that to a manufacturer or to a, you know, retailer who is now a manufacturer and a licensee, you know, and so they want to sell hoodies with Nicolas Cage based off of Mandy as well. So that's the competition that you're really talking about. That's an internal competition that you're inadvertently creating. Right. Yep. So that's the part that you're trying to balance. And sorry, if I'm kind of re-explaining your, you know, repackaging your information, but you know, that for me, I wanted to like kind of delve a little bit further into like that distinction and that education piece, because not everyone knows the intricacies of trying to balance off maximizing, like really getting out there all the product the fans want. They want to love and, you know, love on whatever their property is or their fandom is, but yet, and you're trying to get it to them in various places. But on the other hand, you're talking about saturation. Now, saturation is another one where that can be brand fatigue, you know, the pretty words that we use, which, you know, then it turns into negative sales, which is what nobody wants.
And I'm going to give you a prime example of this. It was, I think, episode 8 of Star Wars. You guys, if anyone remembers this, and of course, as licensing professionals, we probably were much more keen to this, but it was everywhere. Not only was product just rampant in every single retailer, but it was on your cereal boxes. It was on your creamers. It was on my creamer for my coffee. Like, what?
That Boba Fett creamer was good though.
It actually was though. So my point is, I mean, that again, nothing to Lucasfilm, you know, incredibly successful company, but that was oversaturated for me because oh my God. And you know, keep in mind that wasn't, you know, some of those things are not licensing deals. Some of those are marketing
promotional efforts, partnerships.
Right? Exactly. And so those are kind of two different teams, and I'm sure they talk to each other. But you know, we're trying to do, you know,
it depends on the studio, really. Like it really, I mean, me having lived and worked at Lucasfilm, you know, they're much more integrated. But on, you know, I've heard stories from other colleagues where the promotional team is not talking to the licensing team. But, you know, tell us what is, I mean, if you want to go into that a little bit, just what is the distinction between the promotional team and the licensing team?
Absolutely. So the licensing merchandising teams would definitely just be focused on retailers, licensees, brand partnerships to do with selling product. I mean, that is at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're trying to sell product. The marketing promotional partnerships team would be saying, there's usually some kind of fee involved. You know, Lucasfilm or whoever it might be would possibly say, I will give you X amount of dollars if you feature our movie, assets from our movie on your product, right?
Or vice versa.
Simple as that.
The company might come to them and say, we will give you X amount of dollars in order for you to give us your movie assets, and we show it in our commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, this would never happen, but you know, if Obi-Wan Kenobi would be drinking Folgers coffee, that would be great. Like, you know, like that's the kind of thing.
It would have to be a white flat because it's not dark side. That would be, you know, oh my gosh. See, that's where all the nerdiness comes from, folks. That's what.
Good job.
When you know your brands and you know your characters, you can create all kinds of stories from them.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Even on the fly. But
you know, maybe I'll have to have Red Miller from Mandy, you know, endorsed on a Band-Aid brand box. That would make. I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna make that happen somehow.
All your claws, you know, prevent all your Mandy mishaps. I don't have to just
absolutely. They're absolutely the best.
This is how it happens, people. You know, you literally take what you know, what you love, you know, products that you think are great, you trust them, brands that you trust, and you kind of see if they match together some way, you know. So, but so we're going to pivot a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit more about your Archenemy product launch, which I just saw on LinkedIn, which led to this conversation because I was like, hey, let's talk some more about this on stream. And it's an alcohol beverage, right? So tell us a little bit more about Archenemy and why does that actually translate into this product launch?
Great question. Okay, so Archenemy is a fantastic story. It is a film that was produced in partnership with our partners from Mandy. They're called SpectreVision. SpectreVision is the production company, also co-owned by Elijah Wood.
Right.
And side note, the first time I was ever on a conference call with Elijah Wood was one of the biggest fangirl moments of my entire life. I freaked out, and it was so hard to keep my composure. I'm like, why am I even allowed to be on a phone call with Elijah Wood? This is insane. Shout out Frodo. Okay, so Okay, so anyway, so that film was made in partnership with Spectravision, and Spectravision has this beautiful way of finding very unique directors with very unique visions, and in figuring out how to bring those visions to life. And that is what they found in director Adam Egypt Mortimer, who directed Archenemy. He also directed Daniel. I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm horrible. Anyway, another film with Spectravision. Daniel's not my name. Something like that. Anyway, so and this film is about it's starring Joe Manganiello, and he plays a is he or is he not superhero who is from a world called Chromium, and he saved Chromium from destruction and from his evil the evil villain of Chromium. I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
And then he fell through time and space and landed in our world, in our time in Los Angeles. And he has no powers. He is an alcoholic, and he's homeless.
Wow.
And he's just like this crazy alcoholic homeless man. And there's a kid named Hamster, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful young actor who meets. He wants to be like a social media star, right? He wants to be like a social media influencer.
YouTuber or an influencer.
Yeah, and that's actually the platform he uses is called Trendable, which is a fake social media platform in the movie. So anyway, he meets Max Fist, which is the Joe Manganiello superhero, and they go on an adventure, and he starts to get to know him, gets to know his story, because Max Fist is just this crazy alcoholic guy who talks about how he used to have powers. So he starts, befriending him, and then everything goes haywire when when Hamster's sister Indigo steals money from the mob, and then things ensue and fights happen, and it's just this wonderful story that unfolds. What is so much fun about what I got to do for the film is that, first of all, the director Adam Egypt Mortimer, not only is he a visionary, but he is so much fun to work with. We actually became pretty good friends throughout this process because he was so complimentary in the efforts that I was doing. He was very involved in the design process, the creation of the style guide, the discussion around bodies and colors and all, Pantones, all kinds of things, logos that we created. And he's absolutely just a wonderful human. I'm very thankful to have worked with someone that's so collaborative. And then on top of that, the story itself has perfect imagery and color schemes to work with. There's a ton of like neon pinks, neon blues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's also animation in the film. So it is live action, but there's also animation cuts. So we were able to work with some animation. It's just such a fun project to work on. So please go to shop.legionm.com and check out the full line of apparel and accessories that are available there. But the other thing that we were able to create out of this, so unique, is something that I never thought that I would be licensing. In the film, Hamster and Max are at a bar and they're chatting about, Max's life. And of course, Max is a alcoholic, as we said. And so Hamster asks him if there is whiskey in Chromium. And Max is like, yeah, but it's like way stronger than it is here, you know? And Hamster's like, oh, so like space whiskey? Like space whiskey. And then they start talking about space whiskey. And so we created space whiskey.
That's awesome.
Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
Do we have an image of it to show?
Yeah, we have that. We're going to show that if we aren't already.
Awesome.
But I love the design of the bottle, and it's like so sleek, but yet I don't know, it's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, so how we did this, I there's a ton of regulation, of course, for alcohol brands and alcohol products. So it was definitely something new that I hadn't really done before. I have done, my last position at Hot Topic was the beauty buyer. So I am familiar with consumables testing requirements and regulations, and that's a whole thing.
Yeah, but safety testing is intense.
Whole thing. So we were able to partner with a company called Lost Republic, and Lost Republic is a whiskey distiller manufacturer. They distill out of Illinois. And they are just brilliant. And their design is very sleek. Their actual whiskey itself is distilled in a really unique way. And it's so tasty. So we were able to partner with them because they not only were they awesome guys and were really into the project, but they felt like the right on-brand partner for us, right?
Right.
So they took a license and together we created Space Whiskey. So it is the bottle design was done by a guy named Ryan. And the whole idea was we wanted to create a design that looked like it came out of chromium, right? Like not something that we are saying like we're just slapping Archenemy all over. Something that literally is an in-world product, like
it feels like it came straight from them.
Exactly. So we made the design super sleek. We took a bunch of assets from the film itself, from Max's costume, such as like he has this really cool like veiny cape. So we were able to put that onto the bottle. His fist logo, since like his main weapon is his fist, and things like that. So we made it super sleek, and it is now available at retailers.
Nice. So is it online or is it like physical retailers?
So it is, there's a couple physical retailers, but it's mostly online, especially right now, of course, because of the pandemic. A lot of stores are closed still. So if you go to shop.legionm.com and you go to Archenemy and scroll down to Space Whiskey, then it'll list all the retailers that are available to buy.
Sort of like click you right through or something like that.
Yes.
That's
it's
great.
not available in all states because it turns out, again, a ton of regulations, but it is available to ship in most states from certain retailers.
So we'll have to check that out in our state to see if it's available for us.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Is taste testing whiskey for a product launch.
Oh, I'm sure that's horrendous. Especially right on a Friday evening.
Just so horrible to just, spend an hour in your, just trying to figure out which whiskey to taste, It's just the worst way to spend a work day.
By the way, only for 21 and up, not for you youngins that might be following along. Only legal age people, please go and taste test the space age whiskey. But then, the younger ones could be doing the cheddar goblin. You guys have some really funny macaroni and cheese that's out there that they could taste test.
Oh my God. Okay. So first of all, can't even tell you, this is one of my favorite products I've ever created. I mean, I've done some really fun things, especially when I'm in the beauty world that I'm very, very proud of. But this was just, I can't even believe it happened, honestly.
It was so fun.
So, please pull up the picture whenever you can if you're not ready. But so this is a product out of the film Mandy. So in the film, if you have not seen it yet, and you can go on YouTube and see this commercial for yourself. In the film Mandy, Nicolas Cage's wife has just been murdered in front of him, and he walks into his house. And he's covered in blood. Of course, he's like in shock because he just watched his wife be killed. And on his really old school TV is a commercial for Cheddar Goblin macaroni and cheese. And the filmmakers actually filmed an entire commercial for the movie, which you can again go see on YouTube. And it is this really silly, weird, disturbing product commercial. And it's this green goblin who's like, I don't know if you can call him cute. He's pretty unattractive, but he's like
a Slimer-esque type of character.
yeah, he's hanging out with these kids, and these kids are like, all their mac and cheese is gone, and the little girl's like, Cheddar Goblin, did you eat all the macaroni and cheese? And he's like, Cheddar Goblin, and then he ends up like throwing up macaroni and cheese all over their heads. It's like the most ridiculous thing, but it's brilliant. I mean,
partner with to get that to be a real product.
Yes, I mean, why wouldn't we, right? So this moment in this movie has actually been called one of the most profound moments in film history, because the commercial is symbolizing Red Miller's rise of his character arc.
Okay.
Because at one point the Cheddar Goblin kind of rises up out of the macaroni and cheese, and it's him, kind of figuring out
character
that he's going to go and
development,
avenge
evolution.
Yeah, he's gonna go avenge his wife now. Like he's ready. He's gonna go kick some butt.
Right after a bowl of cheddar goblin, macaroni and cheese. Power up.
Yeah, and then later in the film, you actually do see some boxes of cheddar goblin macaroni and cheese in the background of other people's houses and stuff. So it's it's product placement within the whole thing. I don't know if the filmmakers ever expected us to actually make this a real thing, but we did. So my again, my leadership team is very, very experimental, and they're very down to let me just kind of try things, right? So they said, you know what, if anybody could get this done, I bet you could. So I thought, like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to go about this? I mean, again, it's a consumable, and you want to make it safe, you want to make it tasty, you want to make it real. So I started researching, and I found out that that there are companies out there who do private label manufacturing for larger companies. So, for example, there are companies who do like the Kroger brand. Kroger is not really usually making that product. They're going out to a third-party manufacturer, and then they're putting their branding on it, right?
Right.
So I started researching who those people were, and I found Gilster Mary Lee, which is one of the largest manufacturers of pasta, private label manufacturing for all the big grocery stores. And I reached out and I said, I want to do this thing. And so it actually wasn't a licensing deal. It was actually a direct manufacturing, product. Whatever.
So in this case, they're wholesaling to you and you're selling to the consumers.
Yes. Exactly. And we made it happen. I mean, it was the MOQs, which is minimum order quantity, was very high, as you would actually expect. It turns out, you can't just make 5,000 units of mac and cheese. You got to make a lot more to make it worth it. But it's selling. It's selling like crazy. I mean, we're projecting to sell out. Before
everybody go get your macaroni and cheese and power up in front of the videos. So watch all the movies, eat your macaroni and cheese. If you're 21 years old, you can experiment with the whiskey. You can wear your hoodie and immerse yourself in all things Legion M.
Yes. Go watch all of our movies. I mean,
where can we find them? Because, by the way, we got to wind it down, which we could go on and on forever, but
I could talk to you for so much longer.
I know it's so much, but it always goes so quickly, but I want everybody to know where exactly they can find all of the films and then find you and find Legion M and all those details.
Yep, absolutely. So, one of the easiest things to do is for you to just go to legionm.com. On there, you can find, all of our previous films and all of our upcoming films. So all of the things that we have in development, because we have a lot of projects in development. One of my most exciting ones is Girl with No Name, which is a all female led Western. That is going to be absolutely fantastic. We actually have a comic book that we put out just to kind of tease the film. So please go check that out. That's really exciting. We just announced another film called Jelly, which I can't even describe to you. You're just going to have to read the synopsis because it is absolutely wild. One of the most unique scripts I've ever read. And so please go check out all of our slate of projects. And then you can also find information about how to join Legion M for free or how to become an investor. Round 7 is currently open, so please go check everything out there. And then, of course, you can go to our shop page from there. And then whenever you see all of our projects, you'll see also where to go watch them. So most of them are available on most streaming platforms, like Amazon. You can rent or buy, or iTunes, things like that. Save Yourselves is actually available on Hulu now, so you can go check that out.
Oh,
that's
perfect.
our last
I'll check
year's
that out because I'm a
Sundance
subscriber of Hulu.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's where I would start. Go to legionm.com and check us out in full.
That's amazing. So then where can we find you, Mandy, if we want to follow you?
Great question. You can find me at Mandy Bardisbanian on all platforms. I am just available, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things at Mandy Bardisbanian. And I'm sorry.
And Legion M on social media too, right?
Yes, absolutely. My last name was a little long, but just try and copy and paste if you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mandy, for spending this time with us. We really had a good time, and you have to come back and update us on how everything's going on and all the projects that are in the works. That'd be really great. Thank you all for following along with this great conversation, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and hopefully you enjoyed as well. Come back next week. We have another great installment for you. And every week, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're live on FanGirl Friday Live. Happy FanGirl Friday, everybody, and have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Tell me a story in any language you want.
This is Nacho Vigalondo, writer and director of Colossal. This movie is partially presented by Legion M, a company that is owned by fans.
The good folks at Legion M were dumb enough to invest in Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Hey, Legion M Film Scouts. I want to personally thank you for actually picking our film, Memory, The Origins of Alien, at Sundance.
We are so excited to work with the Legion on this movie.
What it is that you guys do that's so special is you connect with fans. And that's meaningful to us and for filmmakers and for films to be able to find an audience.